vertical line down to the top of her ear and get rid of that. We're gonna save that for the end. And then same thing on this side. I'm gonna divide this one away. So I'm just gonna be working with the back of the hair to start. So I'm just gonna clip the front of her hair out of the way. All right, so the first thing you're gonna do is decide how thick her hair is and how much you need to tie up in the bun. So what I mean by that is if her hair is super, super thick, I might need to do 3 sections. If it's fairly thin, then I could just maybe do this in 2 sections. So this is sort of medium, this mannequin, so I'm gonna do it in 2 sections and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm gonna start by dividing above the ear and just take that hair and clip it away. And this is what you're gonna use for your design of your bun. So I'll go from the top of the ear up and we'll clip this away. All right, so now what I'm left with is the bottom here. And what I'm gonna do is back comb through here so I have a little bit of hair to grip my next pins into. So if I don't do any back combing down here and then I try to pin this in here, I'm gonna have a hard time having those pins stay. So that's why I like to back comb my base. So I'm not doing a ton, I'm just holding a loose tension at the bottom, but just getting some back combing in from midway down up to the root. And then I will comb it into a ponytail at the center of her head. And I'm gonna put this in a ponytail. And what I was saying with if you need to do 3 sections, if her hair is like super, super thick, then I would recommend doing 2 ponytails here. So you'll do a section from here down and then this part into another ponytail. So you have 2 ponytails just to make sure it's extra, extra secure. Okay, once you have that tight, I'm gonna just loosen it by pulling it out a little bit. And this way, when I have a side profile, it won't be so sleek against the head. It will have a little bit of lift right into the side, which tends to be more flattering. And then you also have some room to stick bobby pins in here. All right, so what I will do is divide the hair in 2, and I'm gonna do a texture spray through it all so it really stays. And then I'm gonna twist it. And I will actually stand on the side of her like this rather than directly back because I wanna twist it in the direction, I'm gonna wrap it in a bun like that. So if I start twisting in this direction, then it's gonna wanna wrap around really nice and clean like this. So I'm doing it fairly tight because I want this to be a sleek bun. And then you can tie the end with an elastic. If her hair is really thick and healthy at the end, I would recommend maybe even using 2. All right, and then I'm gonna wrap this into a bun. So I'm just gonna go, keeping the twist tight, I'm gonna go up and over, and I'm actually gonna pin as I go. So I'll take a pin, go straight toward the scalp, and then turn it and push it down. And I'm gonna kind of do that all throughout, basically everywhere that she's got a loop. So where all these loops are, that's where I'm pinning. And I'm going in toward the scalp and then going straight into it, into the bun. And you want to wrap this around all the way so the end tucks in. And then you're just going to pin all the way around. So if her hair is super thick and heavy, you want to use the big long bobby pins. This one isn't super heavy, so I can get by with the standard ones. And we're going to just make sure all the ends are tucked away. You don't want to have any bulging spots. You want it all to be tight against the head. And it's really important at this point that you have a lot of symmetry. So you want the bun to be nice and sleek. And so if this starts out being not symmetrical, then when you start to pull this hair and pull it over the bun, then it's not going to be symmetrical. So make sure this is symmetrical. Make sure your edges are really clean. All the little hairs on the neck are all pulled in, and get that all really secure before we move forward. So if you like how this looks, then go ahead and hairspray it and make sure it's really sticking. So you can have her shake her head a couple times, but we want to make sure this stays really good. All right, so then you'll take down your top section And you have to kind of decide here how much volume you want, if you want to have any texture in here. And this is where you would do some back combing if you want to have any volume right through here. If you want it to be more of a textured look, you could curl it and then kind of finger comb through it to give it a little bit of a wave. I'm going to just give it a little bit of texture a really simple way by spraying texture spray over the top. I'm kind of tousling it with my fingers. And then I'm going to go through and create a few ridges, really light ones, not really defined, just by fingering through it like this with my fingers. So I'm using my fingers and making a little ridge by pinching the hair and then combing through to smooth it out. You can put a little hairspray in on top when you kind of like the direction that it's going. And then just follow the line with your fingers like this. And that way you'll get a little bit of that texture, or ridges as people call it, before you pin it. So once you like that, you'll gather it together at the top of the bun that you just created. We're just going to put a row of pins over the top. I'm gathering it really loosely because I want to keep these ridges that I just made over the top of the bun. So however many pins it takes to get the entire top section that we had pinned across. So you can see how if this part is too thick, it would be too heavy to pin all over the top like this. This part would be really, really thick. So you want to make sure that the majority of your hair actually goes into this bun, and what's left on top is just enough to cover the bun and to make it, make your design of the bun how you want it. If it's too thick, this will be too heavy, it won't stay, and you won't really have much to work with. Or you'll have too much to work with, I should say. All right, so once you have it how you like it, you want to spray it down. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this into 3 sections. I'm going to start with the outside. So you have 1, 2, 3, and the one farthest away from me, if that's popping out, I'm going to put another pin in because I don't want this to move. I'm actually going to put 2 in just to make sure. All right, so I'm going to bring this up and over, and so I want to back comb the top of it like this because this is the part that's showing. So I'm going to back comb the top and then flip it over, and I'm going to just comb it softly so it's nice and smooth over the top like this. And when I get it over the top, I'm going to loop it completely. So I'm making a loop like this, and I'm going to pin it here. So I'm pinning it into the base of the bun that I just created. Over the top. Now, I'm going to take my middle section here I'm going to do the same thing. So back comb on top, gently, and I'm going to flip it and make another loop going this way. So same thing that I just did, but instead of going straight across the bun, I'm going to go over back towards the center. Combing it over, and then I'm going to make a loop, tuck it under. Leaving this tail out. If you don't have a tail because the hair is too short, then you can just leave it in there. We'll just use this tail for some design at the end. I'm going to pin this to the base. You want to make sure that it's fanned out so it spreads across the bun. All right, you like how that looks? I can have this falling off here. All right, then what you're going to do is take your bottom one and we're going to go this way. So now this is your third piece. And this time we're going to comb under it because we have to cover the bottom of the bun over here. So you're going to back comb underneath like this and then smooth over the top. Now, if you're finding some of the hair to be a little unruly at the smoothing part, you can put a little bit of texture spray on it and comb through, and that helps, the texture spray helps it not to be sticky, but just kind of do what you want it to do. I want this to go over and cover under here. So, holding it between my fingers flat and wide like this, so that way I can sort of fan it out before I pin it. I'm going to turn it in like that and pin it inside. And again, I'm going into the base, the bun that we created. Okay, so then you want to make sure it's covering, so I'm spreading it out. And that's why we did the back combing. So we'd be able to kind of spread it out and have it cover the bun. You want it to be nice and smooth too. Okay. So now that I've covered it in 3 places, I'm gonna go through with hairspray and fill in any gaps. So sometimes you can just use hairspray to spray it and then pull it out to fill in any gaps that you might have. Sometimes you actually have to go in with a pin. So like this side, I see a little hole right here. So I'm gonna go through and use the hairspray, but I can still see that I have a little bit of a hole. So if you can't fix it with the pin, then I know I need to cover that with one of the front pieces. All right, lastly, we have these 3 ends here. So I am going to comb through, and if you have a long enough end you can use for a design, you can decide if you want to maybe pull it over the top or make something pretty with that top. Or you can also take the other alternative, which is just to wrap it up and hide it. So I'm actually going to take these and hide them. So how I'll do that is I'm just going to roll it up, and then I'm just going to tuck it into the loop that I already created here. I'll just put one little pin inside, and that will go right into the bun that I have as my base to hide that away. We'll see. This one, same thing. So I'm going to roll it up and then tuck it inside here. All right, and then lastly, I've got this one over here, and I'm just gonna bring it up and then tuck it into there. So I'll roll up the end, tuck it into the top. All right, now the last thing that I have to do is I'm going to complete the bun by bringing across the pieces that I left out. So I am going to use this top piece to get this hole covered. And that's why I like to save out this top section. So not only so it can be really soft and beautiful in the front, but also so I have some hair to work with to cover up and make more of a design in the back. So because the front of this is thick, because this is the heavy side of our part, I'm going to divide it into 2. So I'll take the top strand first, and I'm going to do some texture spray, and then I'm going to softly back comb underneath. So I'll pull it softly from the front so it's not too tight. I want it to be not severe, but soft in the front. And I'm going to comb underneath like this, so just gently back combing down. And you can kind of lay it over and see how you think it will look best. So I am going to go like this. I think I'll twist it once, so a soft twist here. You can kind of hold it with your comb and put a few pins in just to get it going in the right direction. I'm just going right down into the bun that I have as the base. All right, and now what I can do